Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, words to my brethren all around the world watch this video. Hope you're having a great day today. As you're tuning in, do yourself a damn favor and hit that subscribe button, and surely you will not be disappointed. Now, I wanted to give my thoughts on the fights that happened this past weekend between Sergey Kovalev and Eleider Alvarez. It was the rematch. I'm very just first of all, let me say I'm very happy for Sergey Kovalev. Okay, like, this guy is probably one of my personal favorite fighters in all boxing. Those of you who have been following me for years, y'all may remember when he fought Andre Ward. You know, just how pissed off I was when he lost to Ward unjustly in both fights, I think. But regardless of the fact, you know, he hadn't been the same mentally for quite some time. I thought, I'm not gonna lie, if you're with me for my live fight reaction, I was with my boy Alex. We had a lot of people on there. It was fun. If you want on that live fight reaction, be on live fight reaction this week for Gervonta Davis versus Hugo Ruiz. I'm sure we'll have a fun time on that one. But if you guys remember, leading up to that, while I was live, I was saying that, you know, I really hope that Sergey Kovalev isn't gonna get retired tonight or end his career. You know, the outlook for Kovalev going into the Alvarez fight was very doom and gloom. It was, you know, kind of like, it felt like it could be the end of what's been a remarkable career in the sport of boxing. But instead, what we got from Sergey Kovalev was not only a win, not only a spectacular, and I don't say this lightly, masterclass boxing lesson he delivered Eleider Alvarez, but what we got from Sergey Kovalev, in my humble opinion, was the best performance of his entire boxing career. Better than anything I've ever seen from Sergey Kovalev was turned in on this night. And honestly, I said this in my live fight reaction as well. Kovalev, you know, people never question these, but they always question this. But on this night, you know, because of the way he used these and the way he applied this and the way he applied these in the corner, you couldn't question this. And Sergey Kovalev showed that he had a lot of heart. You know, there's always this narrative that's been thrown around and it started with Andre Ward following the first fight. He called him the bully. You know, he started out by saying, you know, after the first fight, many of you who've been following Kovalev's career, you may remember Andre Ward said, you know, I bullied the bully and I took the fight to him. And that's when people really started to latch on to the whole bully narrative, and they attached that to Kovalev. They called him a bully, and they said that, you know, his aura of invincibility was gone. And to be fair, they would be right, because Ward looked really good in the second fight, whether unjustly or not. You know, he did enough in the main rounds to beat Kovalev, and, you know, he unjustly got a stoppage, but he got it. Had a chance to redeem himself in his first significant fight since losing to Ward in the second fight against Alvarez the first time around. Got stopped in the seventh round, so rightfully so. A lot of people, even the most staunch Kovalev fans like myself, had a reason to believe that this could be an absolute slaughter. And for the, you know, what happened on the night was completely opposite of what I thought was possible. You know, Kovalev had just now hooked up with James Buddy McGirt, and James Buddy McGirt, he's like the Kovalev whisperer. Like, someone finally got through to Sergey Kovalev, and you saw him fighting a much more refined style. You saw him, you know, using his jab, leaning off the jab, not overcommitting to shots, not placing too much power on the shots or overcommitting, but just throwing short, quick, precise shots. And because he's heavy-handed, he was able to keep Alvarez very honest, very gun-shy. He was reluctant to throw punches, and he, you know, Kovalev thoroughly outboxed Alvarez. He thoroughly outworked Alvarez. He outclassed Alvarez, and he hurt Alvarez a couple times. It was the most impressive, most complete performance, in my opinion, of Sergey Kovalev's career. And when you consider the fact that my man Sergey Kovalev had so much shit going on in his life, okay? You have the fact that you lost 2 fights to Ward, whether unjustly or not, there are L's on your record. You lost 2 fights to Ward. You've been stopped by Alvarez in brutal fashion the previous fight. You have this court case going on with this lady who accused you of beating the shit out of her, okay? There's a lot going on that had to have been going on in Kovalev's head, and what was he able to do? He was able to channel all that. He was able to listen to his corner, and he turned in with his back against the wall. He turned in a virtuoso, complete, you know, just the best performance of his boxing career. And for that, you can no longer question this Sergey Kovalev. All right, you can have your opinions about him. Maybe you think he's a piece of crap out the ring. Maybe you think he's this. Maybe you think he's that. But you can never question this. And people always question this. And Kovalev's always shown his whole career, you know, that he wants to fight the best, that he wants to be in big fights. And even now, he's got a strap against Alvarez. And what is he talking about? He's talking about wanting to fight, you know, the likes of Vazdik, Beterbiev, Bivol, guys like that. So, I mean, Sergey Kovalev, thank you so much. He's made the light heavyweight division a lot more interesting. Not that it wasn't interesting before, but now a lot more interesting because, I mean, shit, that Kovalev right there that fought Alvarez the second fight, if he can continue to fight like that, to fight and use his range, use his ranginess, use his heavy-handedness to pick his shots, to move, to slip, to go to the body, to spin off to his right after throwing combinations, throwing these short shots. We're gonna see a very dangerous Kovalev. That's a Kovalev that can go in there, that can beat the likes of Vozick, that can beat the likes of Beterbiev, that can beat the likes of Bivol. Okay, and this is a guy who, on top of that, with this, you know, seems to be, it's only one fight, but what seems to be a more refined style with Buddy McGirt, you know. He's been there and he's done it. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kovalev has been light heavyweight champion. He knows what it feels like to be the man in the division. He's been in big fights. He's won big fights. And Buddy McGirt, you know, and to his credit, you know, for Buddy McGirt, Buddy McGirt said it himself. You know, I got the article in front of me here on Boxing. He said Kovalev stuck to the game plan more than he anticipated. I'll read you the quotes as to what Buddy McGirt said about Kovalev. Buddy McGirt said about Kovalev and just training him. He said, I quote, "He adjusted well. He stuck to the game plan more than I anticipated he would, but I kept reminding him to keep it basic. Keep it basic. I thought it was close, but I felt he won." So that's that. Well, to be fair, buddy, I know you're being humble, but that shit was not close. Your boy, Sergey Kovalev, thoroughly outclassed, thoroughly outboxed Elliot Alvarez. He made Elliot Alvarez on the night look like a subpar light heavyweight, and Elliot Alvarez is not a subpar light heavyweight. That guy, even with the loss, is still a legitimate top 5 light heavyweight. So, just, man, that's why we love boxing, man, because he had a guy who has everything going against him to where mentally he could say, okay, look, I'm going to fold up, you know, that's it, let's call it a career. But, you know, now he got with the right guy in Buddy McGirt. Buddy McGirt has done what Buddy McGirt did for Kovalev, what boxing trainers all across the world should be doing for their fighters, and that's keeping it simple, giving your fighter a couple instructions, but clear instructions that are gonna work and suit his style, that are gonna get him to just focus in and zone in on a couple things in the ring. You know, a lot of time you see some of these trainers, like for example, Kell Brook's trainer, John Fuchs, the guy who trained him first fight for Michael Zarafa. He was giving him 55 instructions, and Kell Brook just looked confused, and you know he looked shot as well, but he also looked confused. He didn't know what he really wanted to do. As for with Kovalev, Buddy McGirt said, keep it basic. Don't overcommit to your shots. Don't put too much in your shots. Just keep it simple. Box them. When you jab, lean off the jab so you're not getting touched. And on top of that, I think Kovalev even, you know, Kovalev himself showed a bit of boxing IQ, because I didn't hear Buddy McGirt tell him to go to the body that many times. But Kovalev continued to go to the body. He continued to he basically did everything he was doing in this fight with Alvarez, he should have been doing against Ward. And Ward, fair play to Andre Ward. You know, he was the commentator for Top Rank. He was working this fight for ESPN. And Andre Ward did a great job commentating. He didn't let his dislike for Kovalev as a person get in the way of him calling this fight. And he even stated himself, the thing that made Kovalev such a difficult fighter when he fought him wasn't the power. It wasn't the fact that Kovalev was coming in there to take his head off. It was actually the fact, you know, those real short, sharp, precise shots. Because he was heavy-handed, that's what gave Ward problems more than the power itself. So it was really good insight from Andre Ward. He scored a pretty wide for Kovalev. I scored a pretty wide for Kovalev. I only gave Alvarez like 2 rounds, and even the second round that I gave him could have went to Kovalev. So it was just a domination from Sergey Kovalev. And that guy right there, you know, he's made the division like so much more interesting, just so much more interesting. And for Sergey Kovalev, you know, I had a chance to watch Michael Montero's video that he did, and let me just say a big shout out to Michael Montero. He does fantastic work on his channel, Montero Unboxing. Go subscribe to him. He stated that, you know, with this win, Kovalev may have punched his ticket to the Hall of Fame. You know, I wouldn't disagree with that. You know, especially when you consider just the context of this win against Alvarez, the fact that Alvarez was undefeated, Alvarez had the belt, Alvarez had the confidence of having stopped him in the previous fight. Then when you couple what Kovalev has went through, the Ward fights, the first Alvarez fight, the legal problems, the trainer problems, just problems on problems for Kovalev. and he was able to really just put it all together. And when his back was truly against the wall, he turned in what was the best performance of his career. And a lot of people have questioned this man's heart. They said he's soft. I've even heard people, excuse my language, but I've even heard people in the boxing world, in the YouTube boxing community, in this YouTube boxing sphere, I've heard people go as far as to call Sergey Kovalev a pussy, which I think is ridiculous, because he's always been willing to fight the best. The guy has carved out a fantastic career for himself, and I said it back when he got stopped by Ward in the second fight, and it was unpopular to say back then, and I'll say it right now that it is popular. Maybe it'll be a little bit easier to say. Sergey Kovalev is one of the top 25 greatest light heavyweights to put on a pair of boxing gloves, bar none. I wouldn't say he's too high up on that top 25 list, but he's in that top 25. That's how much I rate Sergey Kovalev, and for once, for the first time in a long time, he did not beat himself. He did not get in his own way, and being someone himself in my own personal life who's gotten in his own way quite a few times, to see a guy like Kovalev, who I know is stubborn, who does things his own way, to see him finally just listen and just do what he needed to do to beat Alvarez and turn in the performance he did, it was just a great thing to watch, So, what's next for Sergey Kovalev? Interesting. The light heavyweight division is chock full of just great fights. You have the likes of Vazik, you have the likes of Bivol, you have the likes of Beterbiev. Personally speaking, I mean, the fight I would really like to see would be him versus Vazik. Vazik is getting a lot of hype right now, as he should. The way he beat Adonis Stevenson was very impressive. And he's fought some similar guys like Kovalev, like he fought Chilemba and beat Chilemba in much more impressive fashion than Kovalev did. But I don't know, man. You can't. If Kovalev can continue to listen to Buddy McGirt, who constructed a great fight plan for him, and he followed it to the T, and even better than Buddy McGirt thought he would. This guy is, I hate to say that a fighter is reborn, because, I've always said on my channel, once you bake a cake, it's a damn cake. You can put blue frosting on that cake, you can put red frosting on that cake, you can put vanilla frosting on that cake, but it's still a damn cake no matter how you dress it. But I don't know, man, like, that's why this performance is so impressive for me, and that's why how Buddy McGirt was able to seemingly in one training camp, refine Kovalev's whole style. Impressive, just impressive stuff. Because usually when we see fighters go with new trainers, it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 fights to really bed them into a new style. It'll take 5 fights, 2 years, 5 training camps, 4 training camps for a fighter to really refine his style or make any sort of noticeable adjustments. But with Kovalev, we saw a whole lot of, if you're paying attention, and I got a good prescription on these. I was paying attention. If you're paying attention, he was doing a lot of things, subtle things that he just normally doesn't do. He was using, he was pivoting. So he would throw these really short combinations, and he would spin off of them. Something we never see Kovalev do a lot. He was mixing up head and body, which was a big problem in the Ward fights. He would always go for the head, but never the body. We saw him make a much more concerted effort to take gas out the tank early from Alvarez, and it made Alvarez gun shy. It made Alvarez not overcommit, and he always kept him off balance. It's like when you watch baseball. If a pitcher throws a fastball every single time, the hitter's eventually going to time it, and he's gonna hit the ball at the park. Kovalev was throwing changeups, he was throwing fastballs, he was throwing curveballs, he was throwing sliders, and he kept Alvarez off base because of this. He was continuing to vary the speed of his punches, the angles of his punches. He used footwork in really just intelligent ways. He moved his head. Like, it was just, I was astounded the fact that Buddy McGirt was able to get through to him in such a way where in one fight, one training camp, Kovalev's whole style was refined. And, you hear trainers get cocky and say, I'll do this, I'll do that. Buddy McGirt didn't say that, but shit, he definitely went out there and did it. So, massive shout out to Buddy McGirt. As far as I'm concerned, I know it's early in the year. It's only, it's February the 4th as I'm shooting this video. He's put in an early claim for Trainer of the Year. I mean, that's the kind of performance when you can get a fighter to fight at that level, refine his style, and deliver the best performance of his career, as old as he is, with all the things he could have had going against him mentally going into that fight. Massive stuff from Buddy McGirt. And right now, as far as I'm concerned, he is a Trainer of the Year in the sport of boxing. So, I want to see him fight Vazik. I think Kovalev has the boxing skills. He has the power. He has the athleticism to go in there and beat Alexander Vazik, who is getting a lot of hype right now, as he should. So I'd like to see that fight. Just anybody. And Kovalev's already came out and stated that he wants the unification fights. He wants the big fights. And this is a guy that, I don't care. I honestly, as far as the rest of his career is concerned, with that Alvarez win, if he never wins another big fight again, I think the guy's had a remarkable career. You got to respect what he's done. Because Alvarez has been one of the most ducked and avoided fighters in boxing for years. We know what Stevenson did as far as ducking him. And he's beaten some good fighters himself, Alvarez. So, he's definitely legit. He stopped Kovalev in the first fight. I wouldn't mind in the future, like not right away, but I wouldn't mind in the future, like maybe like a year from now, if Kovalev still has that belt and he's, let's say he's unified in some titles or something like that. I would like to see him fight Alvarez in the third fight because I think the fight was the two fights they both had, they were both very good for different reasons. Alvarez got the knockout in the first fight. Kovalev gave him boxing lesson in the second fight. It'd be good to see a nice little light heavyweight trilogy, but not right away. Not right away. So that's what it is. As far as Kovalev, here's what he said in regards to his style and just things that changed. This is in a Boxing article. So he says this. He said, I quote, "We worked a lot," and he's talking about working with Buddy McGirt. He said, this is what he said. "We worked a lot on my jab. My amateur style was like that. I would always throw a jab and then a right hand like a power shot. I started from zero after what happened in my last fight. I brought back my skills from what they used to be when I was an amateur." You see what I'm saying? So basically Kovalev was saying like he implemented what he did more as amateur in his training camp, and he took that into the fight with Alvarez, and it worked for him because when you got a guy like Kovalev who can jab like he can, when he has he has underrated footwork, underrated jab, underrated boxing skills. He's always had underrated boxing skills. He boxed the shit out of Andre Ward in the first fight. Ward came on strong in the latter stages of the fight, but first 7 rounds, 8 rounds, Kovalev was getting in his ass, outboxing Andre Ward. And Andre Ward's an Olympic gold medalist that people will talk about. He's this, he's that. Kovalev was getting in his ass boxing wise. So never get it twisted. Never get it twisted. Kovalev could always box, and he did in this fight. And I'm just very happy. The light heavyweight division is very, very good. And a lot of times like Max Kellerman called this guy a bully, and Max Kellerman always starts these narratives. First, he called Kovalev a bully, Ward bully the bully, Terrence Crawford is so mean, he's the meanest fighter. He always started these crazy ass narratives. Like he's always starting these crazy ass narratives, and Kovalev was able to conquer the narratives. He was able to conquer the narratives of, oh, this guy is this big Russian bully and Ward bully the bully, and people basically called him soft, he was a pussy, he was this, he was that. But Kovalev showed he's got a lot of heart, a lot of toughness. And he's always had a lot of heart and a lot of toughness. You don't get to the where he's gotten to his career coming from where he came from obscurity. He wasn't no crazy Russian Olympian with 400 amateur fights. No, he fought from obscurity, and he fought his way to the light heavyweight title. He fought his way and earned his way. He earned his championships. You don't get there being tough and having something about you. And I think Kovalev showed it in this fight. So I'm just very happy that he had this performance against Alvarez. So yeah. Let me know what you guys think about Sergey Krusher Kovalev. The man is back. The Krusher is back. The Krusher who's boxing, throwing really short, and just precise punches. Buddy McGirt out here. He's the Kovalev whisperer, working his magic, putting in an early claim for Trainer of the Year. Let me know what you guys made of Kovalev's performance against Eliader Alvarez. Where does he go from here? Who do you want to see him fight next? Can he beat the top guys in the division? Let me know in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, and like I say in every single one of my videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just giving Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.